Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Dr. Abati, and good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all our viewers out there. We begin in Asia, where the Bank of Japan has just concluded its two-day policy meeting. I believe that Governor Kazuto Ueda is probably still speaking. He just started his press conference not too long ago. They decided to hold rates in place, and that led to the yen falling to a 34-year low to the dollar. We're going to get to the Naira in a moment, but it's important to know that the U.S. dollar has remained strong across the board. So the yen, the yuan in China, the Korean won, emerging market currencies are pretty much weakening against the dollar. Why is that? It's because as each successive forecast of less rate cuts from the Federal Reserve come through, it means that rates are going to remain, quote unquote, higher for longer, which means that the dollar is going to remain strong. And if you look at 2-year, 4-year, 10-year treasuries, they are still remaining high. So it's still an incentive to keep your money in U.S. dollar securities because of what you're going to earn. We move to Meituan, which is a Chinese food delivery service. It is looking to expand into Saudi Arabia. They've been looking to get higher under a brand called Kita, which is a subsidiary of the company, and they are essentially looking for business development individuals and some other key positions to fill in Riyadh, which is where they are expanding to. And of course, expansion comes with more jobs and so on and so forth. We stick in Asia to the Beijing Auto Show. I'm particularly excited for this. It's been away, at least physically, for the last 4 years, I think, since the COVID pandemic. And yeah, they are now back. There's going to be a lot of vehicles that are going to be on display, brand new ones from a number of Chinese automakers. Tesla skipped it. I think the last time Tesla was at the show was in 2021 or so. So it's going to be, pretty much dominated by the Chinese brands. We move on to the U.S. and earnings results from, I think we start with Microsoft, if I'm correct. So Microsoft had double-digit earnings across the board. Total revenue coming in at $61.8 billion, which is a 17% growth for the company. Cloud revenue, of course, Microsoft has Azure, which is competing very well and supposed to be part of the AI conversation. $27 billion there, I think 21% growth. And then net income coming in approximately at $22 billion. Same with Alphabet, which is the parent of Google, also reporting earnings that beats estimates. Alphabet total revenue $80.5 billion. Google Cloud, which competes with Microsoft Azure, that also coming in with a healthy 28% growth, almost $10 billion, about 9.5. YouTube ad revenue, which is ads and search, are basically the cash cow of Alphabet, coming in at about $8 billion, net income coming in at 23. I think Alphabet also announced a $70 billion share buyback and also announcing a dividend payment. I think it's their first ever. Now, by the way, the Alphabet, Microsoft, Meta are all spending billions of dollars on artificial intelligence. It came up during the earnings call. But investors did not punish Alphabet and Microsoft as they did for Meta because they already have other verticals that bring in revenue for them. So Microsoft, of course, they've got Microsoft Office. They are into software. They've got PCs and so on. Alphabet has Google. They've got search. They've got YouTube. They've got other avenues to make money. So investors are willing to say, okay, fine, spend all that money on AI. We still see your other verticals bringing money in. Unlike Meta, that is playing catch up and doesn't have that diverse revenue stream as the other competitors. To the U.S., GDP figures, preliminary numbers, because these are often revised, coming in below expectations at 1.6% for the first quarter of the year. We are expecting PCE, Personal Consumption Expenditure Index, price index, coming in later. This is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. That is expected to come in hotter. So again, this all feeds into the narrative of the rates remaining higher and the U.S. dollar maintaining its strength across the world against every other currency that you can think of. We go to, is this South Africa? It's technically South Africa, but really it's Australia, the UK, and South Africa. BHP, which is one of the biggest mining giants in the world, making an offer for Anglo-American. And now BHP, of course, is Australian. They are one of the largest mining companies in the world. Anglo-American is a UK company based in London. And basically, BHP has made an offer to buy out Anglo-American. If you look at the details of the BHP offer, basically, it is about the copper assets. I mean, Anglo-American has nickel, steel-making coal, and other assets, but it's really about copper because of the fact that copper is part of the renewable energy play. Copper it's the trajectory of copper. I think it even crossed it climbed earlier this morning. I think on the news of this deal. Copper is part of the ingredients that, or raw materials rather, that would go into electric vehicle batteries. So that is what they are eyeing, and they've got some mining assets. That is Anglo-American. Now they've got mining assets in Chile and Peru. I think Chile is one of the largest producers of copper. China is in this conversation as well because China is one of the largest consumers of copper. I just mentioned the Beijing Auto Show. With the amount of electric vehicles that China is pumping out, which has alarmed the US, alarmed the EU, who are talking about overcapacity, that is only going to increase the amount of copper that China is going to be utilizing. Now, there's some opposition to the deal, particularly coming from South Africa. And one of the reasons why is because BHP wants to spin off a couple South African assets for Anglo-American. Anglo-American has iron ore and platinum assets in South Africa, and they want to spin it off. Now, the thing is, if they spin it off, the reason why they want to spin it off is because they haven't been doing very well. But the South African State Pensions Board is one of the biggest shareholders in Anglo-American in its South African operations. And by the way, they are the parent company of De Beers, right? Diamonds are a girl's best friend. So Mr. Gwyneth Mantera, who is the Minister for Mines in Minerals in South Africa, he came out opposing the deal. Enoch Godongwana, who is the South Africa's Minister of Finance, he was a bit neutral, saying, well, I don't know about the details of the deal, but he said they should not destroy South Africa operations, which is a line towards, the South African assets of Anglo-American. So, and then, by the way, we're even hearing this morning, according to sources, that they've rejected the deal and they want a higher offer. So watch this space, a whole lot more going on there. Not much to say on the Naira. I mean, we can't talk about the Naira in isolation. You got to talk about it against the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar, and I talked about the Japanese yen falling to a 34-year low. Yes, we do have our fundamental issues, which we've talked about ad nauseum about the Naira. But it needs to be said that the U.S. dollar, in particular this week, has continued to climb with all the prints coming out from the U.S. And then finally, the front page of today's This Day newspaper, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The comments from the president that Nigeria, or rather the governments, will continue to make the hard decisions, even though it causes short-term pain. That's the adult in the room, if you will. There are tough decisions that have to be made, but they have to be made. I heard Dr. Abati earlier saying that the president is in the Netherlands and boasting about lithium and so on, and now what's our trade policy? That's an excellent question, Doctor. That question needs to be directed at Dr. Uzoka Anitie, our Minister of Trade and Investment. And also, my wish list. Do you all remember my solid minerals wish list from August of 2023? The second point, this is from August of 2023. You will notice point one is Elon Musk, because he's supposed to be going to India with Tesla for new investments. And also point two, you see BHP and Rio Tinto. So those kind of questions really should be, I hope our ministers in the respective portfolios will be answering those questions. That's all we have for today.
All right, thank you, Rotus, for reminding us of your wish list. And let me just go through each of them. If I can have that back on the screen, let's see just how well we've done so far. Because you say $1 billion lithium deal with Elon Musk, that hasn't happened. Attracting mining giants, Rio Tinto and BHP is going to South Africa. Is in South Africa, and look at the deal that you talked about with Anglo, and just the sheer potential from that could potentially make them one of the biggest in with regards to copper, which is best positioned for the future. And so these are conversations that countries like South Africa are having in terms of mergers, deals, how we can, bring it together, investment, making mining building up and making even bigger the mining sector. We haven't even, unfortunately, I don't even think, Rotus, if compared to countries like that, we've begun to scratch the surface. What we'd imagine would be that Mr. Dele Alake would hit the ground running. We haven't really seen, I don't know about you, but we haven't really seen a lot of hope.
When last did anyone hear from him?
We just see, heading committees on palliatives. I don't want to knock him this morning, but I just want to understand, or let him understand, the fact that he holds or he sits on a very important ministry. And the president going out to Netherlands to talk about lithium also hinges on his ability to actually, maximize that industry. Unfortunately, we are just sitting down and watching the rest of, other parts of the African continent taking the lead on mining or maximizing the potential in mining, whilst we have a gold mine, literally, and we're doing nothing, almost nothing with it. We talk about the illegal miners, people, illegally exporting our mining deals with foreigners. We talk about these things, but we don't see a lot of action in that area. And perhaps maybe that's the one thing I'd like to stay on this morning. Where is Mr. Dele Alake? Where are we with regards to mining and maximizing the potential in mining in Nigeria? Well, we'll look forward to what the BHP Anglo deal, like you mentioned, the initial first deal offer has been rejected. And so we'll see how that would end up, how that would end. And what this has said would trigger more conversations in that industry with regards to mergers, especially in the mining industry in South Africa. So good one for them there.
Okay, the big story about BHP taking over Anglo-American, is one about the bid. The bid is considered too small at $31 billion. That's part of the protest. The second thing, of course, is that the Anglo-American has not been doing well as a company. In fact, on one occasion, it lost about 20% of its stock price in one day. The expectation, beyond the argument about what is being offered, per share by the BHP, is that this proposition is clear, and the fact that it will lead to consolidation. So all the other people who are protesting, as the Financial Times is reporting this morning, it's also about their own interest. But will it lead to consolidation? Will it lead to better productivity? I think that is what is more important with regard to the iron ore and copper resources, of Anglo-American. But let's talk about Japan. Now, the Japanese yen is down 156 to the dollar. What the Bank of Japan has done is to retain its accommodative stance within the 0% to the 0.1% range. However, the thing to pay attention to is the outlook, the projected outlook for this year. They are projecting, the bank is projecting, that inflation is likely to go up. They are looking at a range above 2% for 2024, up to about 2.5% for 2025. But they are hoping that, that is going to, stay within the range of about 2% in 2025 and 2026 when it moderates. Now, what the Bank of Japan has also done is to downgrade growth. The January prediction was 1% to 1.2%. Now they've downgraded that to 0.7% to 1%. But in general, what the Bank of Japan has done is to adopt an accommodative stance, what we call in Nigeria, sit down and see, sit down look kind of approach. But the key thing is that the Bank of Japan sees higher inflation in 2024. But the inflation that we are talking about in 2024 is just about 1.6%, which is what they have reported. So we should not even go in the direction of comparing that to what is happening in Nigeria. Now, in the United States, the Department of Commerce also yesterday released figures about how inflation is doing in the United States. It says headline inflation is 1.6%. But what has also been discovered is that, GDP growth has slowed down from 3.4 in Q4 2023 to also again to 1.6%. Now, what is the implication of this? The analysts are saying that in a year, when the economy remains the key issue in the United States, because this is election year, that we should not be too optimistic about rate cuts, because rate cuts is what everybody has been asking for in the United States. And that may well not happen immediately. How do you talking about India, where India is still conducting its elections, the largest democracy in the world? But there's also something about electric vehicles in India. They've just adopted some policies, giving tariff rebates to both global investors and domestic investors, they call it, within the EV market in India. India is the leading EV market in 2023 with 3-wheelers, with 2-wheelers. But now they've attracted the Vietnamese investor that has set up an EV factory. They are attracting Elon Musk, Tesla. Elon Musk was supposed to have been there last week, but he said he had urgent, Tesla obligations, where we know what those Tesla obligations are, the first quarter earnings call. So you see India focusing on improving the EV market. And I think that's important within the context of an election year, and Narendra Modi and the BJP are looking forward to dominating and winning again the majority. Although there are other issues that India still has to do with. Unemployment is a big issue in this year's election. So those are some of the details. As for Nigeria, I think we discussed that earlier on. What else can President Tinubu do other than to give hope? He's selling hope, not just in Nigeria. He's selling hope also abroad. And he has gone to the Netherlands to sell hope. We hope, that trip will be fruitful and all the parties involved will be able to take advantage of the opportunities that we can have, with the Dutch, who, by the way, will understand what goes on in this country. But President Tinubu saying pains are necessary for us to grow. Yes, we want to see our leaders also enjoying part of the pains. We shouldn't be the only ones accommodating the pains. You can't talk about sacrifice. And Mark Rutte is riding bicycle. And in Nigeria here, Nigerian leaders are riding long convoys of luxury vehicles and asking the people to make the necessary sacrifice. These are the fault lines, the contradictions that we need to look at. Thank you very much, Rotus.